You want all the inside dirt?
That's the Muck.
Coming from the Montgomery basketball experts?
That's the MIRE. I'm Montgomery Assistant Coach Joe Bassford.
I'm Montgomery Head Coach Chris Grundy.
And this is the Muck and MIRE Podcast.
This is the Muck and MIRE Podcast.
This is the Muck and MIRE Podcast.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Muck and MIRE Podcast. I'm Brandon Fury here with Keith Glock. Glock, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
Good. Another great day of 7-on-7s today. So it's got me excited for really June to come. Football gets going now that basketball's over.
Awesome.
I'm excited. So let's do a little recap this week. It was an 0-2 week. First week where we had no wins, if I'm remembering correctly. And it was a really tough week. Definitely emotional for some of the players playing in their last games. So Thursday, we'll actually start on Tuesday when the Ridge forfeit due to COVID. So Montgomery automatically advanced. And then Thursday, Montgomery battled it out with Rutgers Prep, ended up losing 69-60. Rubio had 20 and Curry had 14. And Prescott had 9. So if you guys saw yesterday's pregame, you saw that I disputed Mr. Glock's point that he had on his solo rant about Montgomery was the worst basketball team. I don't think they are. He does, but hey, that's what makes great content, right?
Listen, there's nothing that ever says that, my opinion, just because, this is a thing that I started, is the right opinion. And I'm very happy to have competing opinions, and that's fine. And you know what? Who is to say that I'm right? It based on the one game that we were able to play against them this year, that was my takeaway. And it was actually one of the things that when I was talking to Mr. Papaduke, Montgomery principal, on Friday morning, that I said, the most unfortunate thing of this season in my eyes was that was the first meeting of those two teams, because we didn't get, any kind of feeling out period against them. I think that game would have certainly been probably a little bit different. If that had been the second or the third time that Montgomery had felt their pace and gotten a look at them.
And an interesting thing, we were supposed to play them very early, right? Like second or third game. First game. Yep. So just thinking because that was when Montgomery was really hot. We came out of the gates hot. Imagine if we played them then when we were at our best, how that would have looked, especially with them with kind of a new team. I think Montgomery definitely would have beat them in that game. But too many what ifs. They only played them once when it counted, and Montgomery dropped it by 9. So consolation game, Montgomery was scheduled to travel to Gill. Gill did not want to play for whatever reason, and Montgomery ended up taking Central on at home and ended up losing 76-75 in OT. It was a heartbreaker for Montgomery. Rubio had 31. Is that a career high for him?
It has to be. I don't have a confirmation from that, but it has to be.
And then Curry had 20. Prescott again with 9, and that huge 3 to force OT. It was a game to remember, a shot to remember. Just unfortunate it did not turn out in our favor.
Is there anything better than end game heroics?
Yeah, no, there's nothing.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? I was talking to Pogue after the game. It was nice to have a game where it was really exciting, but because both teams were just back and forth, not like, the St. Joe's Metuchen game. It was fun. It was exciting, but because neither team could hit a shot and get going. But we saw Central's big Gillikin, the senior, hit 7 threes. Rubio hit 3 of his own and was just dominant all day. Good shake-back performance from him. And yeah, just really, really unfortunate loss for Montgomery.
And you know what? That's going to happen. It's just sometimes you play well and you don't end up winning the game. Central's a really talented team. They're well coached. It's obviously there's a lot of connections there between, Montgomery and Hunter and Central head coach Mike Falco is a Montgomery employee. So, there's always just some more rivalry when those two teams meet than, because it's not one of the traditional rivalries for Montgomery, of all the years, but it seems like it certainly has taken on the level of a rivalry game, especially in boys basketball over the last 5-6 years.
It's not a friendly matchup when we play them.
No.
So do you have a take of the week?
I do. And my take of the week is an unfortunate one. I don't take a lot of pleasure in my take of the week. But it's a reality that we all faced. There was nothing stopping us from playing Gill on Saturday in the consolation game of the Skyline Conference tournament. And just the fact that Gill essentially was playing in the sandbox, picked up their toys and went home for no real rational reason. Because are you going to tell me that if Gill had beaten Watchung Hills, that they would have said, we're not going to play Saturday? That was enough.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Come on. So you're upset about losing, and now, we haven't played them yet. It's not like we had played them 3 times, and I could almost rationalize that, that look, playing you a 4th time
feels.
Let's see if we can each pick up a game against somebody else that we haven't played yet.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't happen that way, and it's frustrating. It's, to put it in a very simple emotion, it's annoying that is even a thing that's permissible. So I am a no one. I am a pawn in this game of anything related to athletics in the county or the state as it relates to boys basketball. But I really hope, that if there's a clearer set of rules that needs to be followed, that it gets followed, or need to be created. Maybe I don't know if it's that simple or that complicated. Is it as simple as athletic directors making a stand and saying, listen, what you did was not acceptable by our own standards? Again, I don't know. So I don't want anybody to think that I have this inside information and any of that stuff. I don't. I have none of the above. All I know is that we could have played Gill on Saturday and we didn't. And would we have won that game? Brand, I have no idea, because Gill's real good. But you know what I know? That Montgomery is pretty darn good themselves. And we're not the team that backs down in the face of any kind of challenge. And I would have loved for our guys, win or lose, to just have had the experience, and the ability to have the experience to go up against a team that's that talented, whether we won or we lost. I mean, it just is what it is. But the fact that was taken away, that opportunity was taken away, and for no good reason other than we're taking our toys and we're going home, that doesn't sit well with me. Big time dislike. So, and that's my take, although I don't want to go to my dislike.
So let me say this. I would normally just go right into my take of the week, but I want to have a little dialogue with this because I touched on this in the pregame show yesterday. So first, I would 100% play. If it was my football game, I would play 100%. I don't think they should have been allowed to not play. With that being said, I can understand it. And let me tell you why. I used this analogy yesterday, but I'll use it again. When we lost to Randolph, my sophomore year, 2019, if you told me that if Coach Milch said, all right, hey, I know it, tough loss. It's time. We got 2 days to prepare for the next game, even if it was a week, even like in football, it's a week. I don't know that mentally I could be prepared to play that game, knowing how I felt for weeks and close to a month after that Randolph game. And again, would I play? Yes. But and it's also different because we knew that it was win or go home. And Gil knew win or lose, we are playing Saturday. So I get that. But if you look at it like this, right? Right now, March 7th, 2021, the thing I'm thinking about in football is a state championship. And that is why in a normal year, forget COVID, a normal year, you lose in the playoffs, you go home. You don't play a consolation game after a loss. And I can understand that when you're focusing on chasing a championship and you lose, not wanting to play again because it hurts mentally. So I again, what I would play, I would have played. They should have had to play. They should have been forced to play whether or not they wanted to. But I can understand maybe why they didn't want to.
Here's my response to that. And what you said makes sense. I would say it makes sense in every year except for the one that we're in right now. Has everyone forgotten what we just did for the last 11 and a half months? I mean, we're coming up on 1 year of March 11th,
we're a week away,
kind of
right?
Being, when we were basically told we can't do anything with our lives, and how grateful were we just to be able to play. And now 14 games into that, we've just said, well, all right, it's championship or bust. And just that we get to play isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. You're right.
I'll give you another simple analogy too. And this just doesn't even deal with anything with COVID related, but I still think that's the stronger point. How many days for you as an athlete where you wake up and you know you have to work out and you are like, I'm so tired, my legs hurt, I don't want to do this. And then you get to the gym and you're in the middle of your workout and you're like, oh yeah, clearly I could have done this. I just needed to get myself rolling. Yeah. And where if you had your druthers, you'd rather have been laying on the couch. You took a 15-minute nap in the morning and a 2-hour nap in the afternoon, and everything would have been right with the world. You just need a little something to get you going. So, play the game. That's my answer.
So my take of the week will be, so Montgomery is in what would normal year be a midseason slump. And unfortunately in this year, this is the end of the season. And I truly believe that with the performance we saw yesterday, was it great by any means? No. But you put up 75 and you did put up 60 against Rutgers Prep as well. And we can sit here honestly and say Montgomery did not play their best basketball in either game. I think we can both say that. So I just think that this is a midseason slump that I think normal year they get out of it and make a run at a real state championship.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you.
So like of the week, what do you have?
My like of the week is the performance against Hunterdon Central, the result notwithstanding. I mean, to basically validate everything you had just said about why you wouldn't have even wanted to potentially play in a game Saturday, is all the reasons why I think Montgomery could have gotten blown out in that game, right? I mean, the emotional wear and tear of losing in the semifinals in a game where you were obviously very prepared to win, could have resulted in a very lopsided loss on Saturday to a pretty good team. And that did not happen. And Montgomery was there, obviously, took it the distance and then some. And to me, that is a fully functional example of the character of the team, the coaching staff's ability to get the most out of its players, and the players themselves to go out there and have the pride to go out there and do that and not use Thursday night as an excuse.
Yeah.
Very proud of those guys.
For sure. And you know what? It really, I really do feel bad for them having to go through that twice, that loss. And you know, it's going to help them in the future. My like of the week, we had a couple 5-point deficits, a little more, a little less at times, very late in the game against Central. And if you compare it to a Middletown North, a St. Joe's, we kind of saw those get away from us. But through all that, you can find a constant. We were in all 3 games, we were getting the turnovers. Have the ball down 2, down 1, whatever it is. And we hit the shots. We didn't hit the shots in earlier games. And in regulation on Saturday, we hit the shots we needed to. We got the turnovers we needed, and we got ourselves into OT. It was unfortunate the way it turned out. We actually ended up not hitting the shots in the same situation in OT, but I liked how we finished that out in regulation. Dislike of the week?
I disliked. Well, I kind of now want to change my dislike, even though from what we talked about.
Give me both of them.
No, you know what? I'm gonna spin my dislike into a like. My dislike is piggybacking off of the public school versus private school dichotomy. I'll put it in that word to be nice. And it resulted in a Watchung Hills championship in the Skyline Conference tournament over Rutgers Prep. So I loved that part of it. And I'll roll the dislike into, and I didn't even mention this to you in our pre-conference, but this really should have been my main dislike of the week anyhow. Watchung Hills head coach Justin Salton tore his Achilles of all things in the post game, in the celebration of the victory.
I feel terrible laughing because that is.
I said the same thing. It's a terrible injury, but there's a ring associated with it, so it was kind of no holds barred in terms of picking on him. We love him. Certainly validated all the praise that I had been heaping on them in the last 10, 14 days.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, because in my opinion, it was very easy to see that coming from them because they're obviously really talented. But what a brutal injury.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bill Grammatica. Do you even know the Bill Grammatica story?
No, I don't.
Bill Grammatica was and his brother Martin Grammatica were kickers in the NFL, and they were both very good. And Bill Grammatica was kicker for the Cardinals, and he kicked like a 48-yard field goal or something like that. And he jumped up and pumped his fist in midair and landed and tore his ACL, like in the post-game kick celebration. Like it was just very kickerish, to have that happen. And so Salton, but love you, Coach Salt. Congratulations. But the dislike is going to be the rehab. Hit the Salt lab.
So mine is kind of just disliking myself. I guess I'm a little greedy because I've gotten a little used to seeing 3 or more guys in double figures, but this past week, and the easy dislike is we were 0-2, didn't get a ring, but because we're so intellectual here, we're just gonna go deeper than that.
Right. That's how everybody describes us as intellectual. It's the first thing they think of when they think of this.
Yeah. So last 2 games, only 2 guys in double figures. Though Prescott had 9 in both, which is it's pretty close. But that's my dislike of the week.
Well, you're allowed to dislike yourself, but I'm allowed to like yourself because, again, yesterday, obviously, I was not there. I was fully expecting an 11:30 tip-off so that I wasn't going to get to catch any of the game live and have to watch the whole thing on replay. And lo and behold, my game wrapped up yesterday about 2:20, and I looked at my notifications and saw like at 1:00, it was like, oh, your station is live. And I was like, 1 o'clock, what happened there? So I was able to catch, most of the second half of that game live. And dude, you can dislike yourself all you want. You did a fantastic job. I need to like update my LinkedIn or something because I might not be needed as we move forward.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So next we got Bring the Fury. So I'm going to bring you it's actually only one play this week. So I'll bring you my favorite play from this week. Here it is. The lone Bring the Fury play this week was Matt Prescott nailing the three to force the game in overtime. Curry missed the three, but Gordy pulled it down and found Prescott, and Prescott just did a great job of staying calm in the high pressure moment and knocked down the three. So here is the final Bring the Fury play of the week, with Matt Prescott nailing this three.
Gordy pulls it down. Back out to Prescott. His three-pointer's good. Montgomery ties it up.
Oh, a second miracle on the year.
Wow, what a play.
That was Bring the Fury. What a shot from Matt Prescott. So next, we're going to say goodbye to Mr. Keith Glock for a quick second and bring in Ryan Curry for his second interview of the year. So we'll be right back for that. We're now going to bring in Ryan Curry for his second interview with us this year on the Muck and MIRE podcast. Ryan, what's going on?
Nothing much. How about you?
I'm good. Thank you for coming back on. We really appreciate it. So talk a little bit about how the season ended up. Obviously losing your last two games and getting knocked out of the tournament on Thursday. So just talk a little bit about that.
Definitely. Not the way we wanted to go out. Wanted to get a county championship or a conference championship, whatever you want to consider it this year. But we always got to remember that we did get a conference championship. I feel like that kind of washed away towards the end of the year once we dropped prep because we really wanted that county. We really thought those were the games to prove ourselves that we're the real deal. But unfortunately, it didn't fall into our favor. But once we kind of were drained Thursday, Friday we had practice and our morale kind of boosted. We did some things with coach, some fun activities. We just kind of kept on reminding ourselves that we did get a number and it's not completely over. Went out Saturday, consolation game, unfortunately didn't go our way. They hit a lot of shots, but overall this season we got a number. We cemented the legacy for the seniors, and I thought it was a pretty decent year, pretty good year overall.
So what do you mean by got a number?
The number on the banner, like the Montgomery banner, that's kind of
okay.
The three numbers we want are section, conference, and county. So we got one on a conference for this year. So that's a big thing for the seniors that they can cement their year 2021 for them.
So yeah, so that's definitely something to take out as a positive. But if you take an overlook of the year, something I'm sure you guys were all looking forward to is the Skyline Conference tournament. So what do you think kind of went wrong this year, finishing 10-4, but starting really hot?
Definitely. Well, we can go back to our shooting starting against Middletown North. We shot pretty well. They shut the lights out of it. But then leading up to St. Joe's, where we shot really, really bad, we kind of lost our way for a little bit. Didn't score a lot in transition that game. We kind of really reel ourselves back in. I thought we did a pretty well job of that, taking care of Hosewell in the next game, getting out in transition, going and playing our game. And I feel like even we did a good job against that in the later games that we lost, but I feel like shots just weren't falling ultimately. And if a little more shots fell, I think we're in a very different situation right now during this podcast.
Yeah, and so those historically bad shooting performances, 1 of 33 is the big one, were definitely a problem. But something else that I was kind of noticing early, even when everyone was hot and it tended to kind of flew under the radar because we were winning. And then I kept saying like, we're getting out rebounded at times. And then we kind of saw that translate into when it mattered most against Rutgers Prep. So talk a little bit about that, the just getting out rebounded.
Yeah, I feel like all year we kind of got away with giving up a few extra points against some certain teams, but we finally met our match. And coach was telling us all year that a team's going to hurt us with all these extra chance points, and sure enough, Rutgers Prep did. They must have gotten in the fourth quarter, third quarter alone, 3 threes off of second chance points that completely changes the game. I think we're up 1, and then there's a possession about 4 loose balls we didn't get, 4 rebounds we didn't get, and it just came down to who got more second extra points, I feel like.
Yeah, and going into next year, you guys are losing Rabayo, who's obviously a huge part of everything, but especially rebounding, being 6'9". How do you kind of replace that?
It's gonna be hard. I mean, Noah rebounded the heck out of the ball. Noah was super strong for us down there. Same with Matt, and it's 3 absolutely huge losses to every aspect, and especially the rebounding. I mean, we have some young guys that are gonna play, and everyone's gonna be committed to the weight room this year, and we're gonna see who works out and who doesn't, and hopefully we out rebound people. And Gordy would be a big help next year on the rebounds, helping us.
So if you can kind of just focus on yourself for a second and just pick one thing, because everyone knows you're going to work on everything this offseason, but if you can pick one area where you really want to improve, what would that be?
I feel like I definitely want to get stronger in the gym. I'm gonna hit the gym a lot harder and a lot more this offseason. So I want to put a lot more muscle weight on, not just kind of bad weight, but getting more tone and strong and actually help me for basketball. And I also feel like I got away from my shooting touch a little bit. I'm gonna work my shooting touch, get in the gym with coach, put a lot of shots up in the off season, a lot per day. I'm gonna fix up my touch because I feel like I have a good form, but I'm almost there. Almost there.
Yeah.
So.
And actually, I'm glad you brought that up because, I mean, it was clear you were at the heart of the shooting woes, I guess you could say, going games on games on games, not hitting threes, or maybe like hitting 1 and then missing 4 or whatnot. But I feel like you started to find your stroke a little bit against Central. Talk a little bit about that and what that does for your confidence going into the offseason.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely found my stroke in Central. I was working on it before the game. I was working on it way before my shooting slump, and in practice I was hitting a lot of shots, like getting shots up in the gun. I knew it was eventually gonna fall, and Central really builds my confidence because I know my shot's there. And even at Rutgers Prep, my shot felt good. I had to take some tough shots at the end to try to get back, but Rutgers Prep, my shot felt really good. And I feel like I have a lot of confidence going into next season.
So next year, if there's so we're obviously gonna see 3 new starters. First things. So are there any guys, not asking you to kind of build a starting lineup or anything, but are there any guys that you're looking to that maybe were under the radar this year that really could improve and help you guys out next year?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of eyes would be on Josh Moore and R.A. Gordy. But I feel like there's a chance for a lot of guys to play next year. There's a lot of guys in JV. I'll just throw a few names like Jack Fromelt. He could be a big help next year. Matt Davino. It's going to be a Matt Levy. It's going to be a variety of guys. I mean, coach is going to put the people who he thinks can help us win games, the best 5, and that's the best 5 that's going to be out there for our personnel. And we're going to go in a battle with whoever we got or whoever's working hard in the offseason. I think this is going to be one of the most important off seasons. Not that every off season isn't important, but I mean, I feel like we're really going to find our identity because we're losing a lot of our identity this year in Noah, Matt, and Chris, but we're really going to find ourselves this year in the off season, and we're excited to have that, and we're going to build off of it.
Not only are you losing a lot of your identity, but you're losing 75% of your captains. You're now the sole captain until Coach Grundy decides to name another 1 or 2 or however many. So how are you going to prepare to lead this team into the offseason, as now you're going to be a guy who's played – the only guy who's played all 4 years, by far the most experienced player returning. So what are you going to do this offseason as a team?
We have some open gym set up already for this coming week. And really, we're just going to try to build as much team chemistry as possible. This year, unfortunately, the JV team wasn't in our gym, so we didn't get the chance of having Jack from out seeing the whole varsity family well or Matt Davino. They got a little taste of it during the games. But I feel like the first step is really building chemistry together, hanging out together, whether it's on the game or going out to dinner together. So, I mean, that's the first step. And then I feel like basketball will follow, and it's just going to have to keep on building from there.
So one more question for now is, so you're going into what's going to be your senior year, which time flew by for both of us. But if you had to pinpoint either a moment or a performance so far from your past 3 years, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, if you had to pick one, could you just pick one for us?
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of times in the locker room I could pick. There's a lot of times at camps we went to, various camps or as team hangouts. The one in-game situation I loved was probably my freshman year, Rutgers Prep. That was a very, very fun game. Or even going back to Phillipsburg when Matt hit 5 threes the first game of the year last year. I mean, that was a super fun game. I mean, Matt just went crazy, and it was just so much fun building off him for his first game. And then lastly, even though it didn't go our way, Trenton. I love the Trenton atmosphere. I don't know. I kind of walked in the gym as a shocked freshman. I thought I played a pretty good game. But those are just kind of the other two. But definitely number one is Rutgers Prep in that conference championship game.
See, all these are like unselfish moments. The one I was thinking of was when sophomore year against Ridge, I think it was Ridge, you hurt your ankle and then you come back in and it was just iconic the way you just broke the press, split the double, and then that whole sequence, that was one play that just stood out to me.
Yeah, that was a really fun game. I mean, the ankle hurt a lot, but I mean, I saw a press came out, and right when I kind of walked in the gym, I heard the crowd, and then Rob did a good job taping me up, and I heard the crowd, and I kind of fed off the crowd's energy, woke me back into the gym. And I knew I couldn't let everyone down or let my team down, and I needed my team to help me. My team just kept going.
Well, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back with the preview for what's to come from the MIRE this week. And just so you guys know, this is not the last you'll be seeing of Ryan Curry until next December. He will be on the football field balling out come September, so we're all looking forward to that. But I'll bring back Keith Glock next. Bringing back Mr. Keith Glock for what is kind of a preview, but not really. As we all know, the basketball season is over, unfortunately. But, I mean, I guess one thing you could kind of take a positive from is at least I don't even know how I feel about this. But what do you think about knowing, like, okay, March 6th, that's the last day? No ifs, ands, or buts. What do you think about that versus, losing your home at any time?
I mean, it was convenient, I guess. I mean, I'd prefer the old way every day of the week, I would say. But, just to be able to have some scheduling, I think was necessary, in a year like this. Hopefully we never have to deal with it again, and we can, tie the bow on this insanity forever.
Oh, let's hope.
Yeah.
So the only preview we're gonna bring to you is sometime this week. Me and Mr. Glock will sit down, do a year-end review. We're gonna bring kind of in a similar format to how we usually do these. We'll have, instead of take of the week, take of the year, maybe a like of the year, dislike of the year, and then plays of the year. So my favorite plays of the year. Maybe bring you an interview or two. So a couple things still to be ironed out, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I and I think that this is now me being personally appreciative, greedy, whatever you want to call it. Brand, you have opened up some doors for the MIRE, and for Montgomery fans, that we're going to be able to do potentially some more things than we've ever done. I don't really see the Muck and Mire podcast going away necessarily. Whether you end up taking this and rolling with it just because, I end up being a little more lacrosse involved and less Montgomery involved, and you have a lot more insight into that stuff. I think that's one way we're going to stay involved. The potential for us to broadcast some spring sports because of your abilities, that's on the table. We logistically have to figure out if we can physically make that happen. I just don't know if the tools exist for us to be able to broadcast the way that we would really want to do it. Because to be brutally honest with you, I have no interest in throwing together a third or a fourth rate operation just to say we did it, So if we can't really get equipment out to the softball field and to, film it in a way where it's even pleasing to watch, then it may not get done. But if we can do it and we have the ability, we're going to try, because Brian Upshaw has already come to us and said, hey, we'd love to make this happen. So we're going to effort that. And I don't want to say we're definitely doing it because there's just so many balls that are up in the air. But again, dude, I cannot thank you enough for everything you've done through this basketball season. And, starting in football season, your future is so bright. It's blinding.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys as well. Mire is a great team. For anybody interested in joining it, can always use some more hands. But that is about it for this week's edition of the Muck and Mire podcast. Stay tuned. I'll make a notification on my Instagram. Well, my page's Instagram. So Muck and Mire podcast on Instagram. So when the Year in Review podcast will drop, and any content you may want to see from us, don't be shy. Hit Muck and Mire pod DM on Instagram. Hit Monty Mire Radio DM on Instagram, or contact any of us personally. We are open to any and all ideas. But with that, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.